Welcome to Day 7 of the AZ-900 Fast Track. Today, we're tackling the absolute heart of cloud security, identity and access management. I'm telling you, get this right, and you're not just passing a huge portion of the exam, you're learning how to build truly secure cloud environments from the ground up. Let's get right into it. So, over the next few minutes, we're going to master 3 pillars that are the bedrock of Azure security. First, establishing who someone is. That's identity. Second, proving they are who they say they are. That's authentication. And third, defining what they're actually allowed to do. That's access. If you can get these 3 concepts down cold, you are going to be in fantastic shape for a huge chunk of your exam questions. Okay, first things first. Identity. Before we can even begin to talk about security or access, we've got to have a place to manage our users, our groups, and even our devices. And in the world of Azure, that all starts right here, with its core directory service. Now, pay close attention to that term cloud-based. If you've got a background in traditional IT, you've probably worked with Windows Server Active Directory. Well, the easiest way to think about Microsoft Entra ID is as its modern cloud-native cousin. It's the central control plane for every single identity. We're talking users, apps, devices, anything that needs to touch your cloud resources. Yeah, see, Entra ID is so much more than just a list of usernames and passwords. It's an active manager. It handles how people sign in through authentication, makes their lives way easier with single sign-on, and it even extends its control out to the applications and the very devices they're running on. It's the whole shebang, a complete identity hub. All right, lean in for this one. This is a critical exam watch. The exam loves to test the difference between Entra ID and Entra Domain Services. But here's the simple rule to remember. Entra ID is for your modern, born-in-the-cloud apps. Entra Domain Services, on the other hand, is like a special bridge for your legacy on-prem apps that need old-school stuff like Kerberos or NTLM to work in the cloud. So just think, modern apps, Entra ID. Legacy apps, they might just need Entra Domain Services. Okay, so we've established what an identity is. Now for the next logical question, how does a user prove they are that person? And that brings us to our second pillar, authentication. The analogy for this is just perfect. Think of authentication like showing your passport at the airport. All it does is prove who you are. It doesn't say which gate you can go to or which plane you're allowed to board. That's access control, and we'll get to that in a bit. This step is purely about verifying you are who you claim to be. This is such a powerful idea. Single sign-on, or SSO, is amazing, right? Log in once and you can get to everything. But here's what the exam wants you to understand. If that very first login is weak, every single application you access with it is also weak. The entire security chain is only as strong as that first handshake. And this is exactly how we strengthen that handshake. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is your absolute best defense against stolen passwords. It works by demanding at least 2 of these different kinds of proof. So even if a hacker steals your password, that's something you know, they still can't get in without your phone, something you have, or your fingerprint, something you are. It's a game changer. Okay. Pro tip for the exam. Passwordless is where everything is heading, and Azure gives you 3 main ways to do it. Think of it like this. Use Windows Hello for business when you've got dedicated work PCs. Use the Microsoft Authenticator app on a phone for a super easy, convenient mobile option. And for your highest level of security, especially for your admins, you use FIDO2 security keys. Why? Because they are physically unphishable. All right, we've done it, we have established an identity, and we've proven it's legitimate. So now for the final crucial pillar. What is this authenticated user actually allowed to do? This is all about smart access management. I absolutely love this analogy. Think of conditional access as a smart bouncer at a club for your cloud resources. A regular bouncer, what do? They just check your ID. But a smart bouncer, they look at more. They check your ID, sure, but also where you're coming from, the time of day, and if your name is on a special list. It makes an intelligent, real-time decision based on all the context. And this is how it works. First, conditional access gathers what we call signals. Who is this user? Where in the world are they logging in from? What kind of device are they on? Is it healthy? Which application are they trying to get to? It just soaks in all this context. Then, based on those signals, it makes a decision. This is the if-then logic that's the real brains of the operation. So for example, if the user is a global admin and they're logging in from a country we've never seen before, then we're going to require MFA. Or if the user's on a device that's been marked as unhealthy, then we're just going to block access completely. And finally, there's the enforcement. That decision gets carried out right then and there.
This dynamic real-time check is a core concept you absolutely positively need to know for the exam. It's not just about who you are anymore, it's about the entire context of your request. Now, beyond just the conditions of access, we also have to define the level of access. And the golden rule in all of cybersecurity is the principle of least privilege. All this means is you should only grant the absolute bare minimum permissions needed for someone to do their job, and nothing more. The tool we use for this in Azure is called RBAC.
Here's another super critical exam watch. You have to understand that RBAC permissions are inherited. They flow downhill. Remember that keycard analogy? If I give you a keycard that opens the main building, that's your management group, it's naturally going to open all the floors inside, your subscriptions, and all the offices on those floors, your resource groups. Access granted at a higher level just flows down to everything beneath it. So what about people who don't work for your company? Well, that's where external identities come into play. This lets you securely work with partners and vendors using B2B, or manage your customer accounts for your public-facing apps with B2C. The key takeaway here is that they get to bring their own identity. They can use their own work account or a social account to sign in securely to your stuff.
Okay, I know that was a lot, but you've totally got this. Let's lock in the most important ideas with a quick rapid-fire recap. These are the absolute key takeaways you need to memorize.
First up, Entra ID. Just remember, it's your central identity hub in the cloud. It's the foundation for everything.
Second, MFA. This is your single best defense against password theft. Always, always require at least 2 forms of proof.
Third, Conditional Access. That's your smart bouncer. It uses simple if-then logic to make real-time decisions about who gets in.
And finally, RBAC. This is how you enforce least privilege. It's all about defining who can do what on which specific resources. Simple as that. And that's a wrap. You've just covered the fundamental building blocks of all Azure security. You now know how to define an identity, how to prove it's real, and how to grant it the precise level of access it needs, and no more. You are absolutely ready. Excellent work today, and I will see you for day 8.